Have you ever noticed that some people move through crowds with unshakable confidence, as if the ground knows who they are? They're not necessarily more handsome, wealthier, or physically stronger than you. Yet something about their presence commands respect. It's invisible, but deeply felt. Meanwhile, you might find yourself wondering, why do I feel less confident? Why do doubts creep in whenever I try to speak? Why do I seem weak in others' eyes? What you don't realize is that you're doing things every day that chip away at your confidence. Slowly, silently. These are things your subconscious picks up on and sends subtle signals to others that you're not worthy of respect. And now, you're about to discover them. But beware, knowing them isn't enough. You must stop doing them immediately. The first mistake that robs you of your confidence is seeking others' approval. Watch yourself. How many times have you said something, then taken it back just because someone disagreed? How often have you laughed at a joke you didn't find funny just to fit in? How many times have you softened your words, said maybe instead of yes or no, just to avoid seeming too firm? Every time you do that, you lose a part of yourself. You think you're gaining acceptance, but in reality, you're showing weakness. Someone who needs applause to feel good is, in a way, admitting they don't believe in their own worth. The strange irony is that the more you chase approval, the less you actually get it. But someone who knows their true worth doesn't need claps or agreement. They don't change their stance just to please others. People respect those who aren't afraid to be themselves, even if others don't like it. But there's another thing that makes you seem weak. Talking too much about yourself. You might think that talking more makes you appear smart or important. You might believe sharing your life, accomplishments, and thoughts will show your value. But in reality, someone who constantly talks about themselves is usually on the defensive, trying to prove something, not just to others, but also to themselves. Look around. Those who talk about themselves the most often have an internal void. They're afraid of being underestimated. They believe their worth depends on how convinced others are of it. Someone who over-explains their opinion is afraid it'll be rejected. Someone who constantly lists their achievements fears others won't see them as enough. Someone who tries to prove they're strong is often trying to convince themselves first. A confident person doesn't need to convince anyone of anything. They don't need to prove their strength or importance with words. Their presence alone is enough. Look at truly powerful people. Their presence speaks for itself. No need for noise. When they speak, they're clear and concise. Each sentence is deliberate, like an arrow hitting its mark. They don't talk just to talk. They don't seek attention, because they know real power isn't in how much you say, but in what you say. On the other hand, someone who rambles ends up saying nothing of value. People listen out of politeness, but they don't take their words seriously. Because those who talk too much usually say little of actual worth. Even worse, oversharing can reveal your weaknesses without you realizing. When you talk too much, you give others a chance to analyze you. You unknowingly reveal your emotions, triggers, and fears. Those skilled in dark psychology don't talk much. They listen, they observe, study every word said. They never expose themselves. They let others do it, often without even realizing. So before you start talking about yourself, pause and ask, is what I'm sharing necessary? Will it add value? Or is it just an attempt to prove myself? Will I gain more respect by speaking or by staying silent? Because strategic silence isn't weakness. It's an art mastered only by those with unshakable confidence. But the most dangerous mistake of all is fearing confrontation. How many times have you felt angry because someone crossed a line, but stayed silent? How many times did you want to say no, but said okay just to avoid awkwardness? How many times did someone wrong you and you smiled like nothing happened? You think you're avoiding problems, but in truth, you're destroying your confidence from the inside. When you're afraid to stand up for yourself, you send a clear message to your subconscious. I'm weak. I can't face conflict. And every time you run away, it becomes a habit. Until one day you can't even stand up for yourself in the simplest situations. But don't get it twisted. Strength isn't about yelling or fighting pointlessly. It's about knowing when to say, "That's enough." It's about drawing clear boundaries that no one is allowed to cross. It's about being present, calm, and firm without hesitation. People don't respect those who let themselves be stepped on. They respect those who know when to be silent and when to draw a line that cannot be crossed. And another deadly mistake: apologizing too much. Yes, apologizing when you're wrong is noble, but apologizing for everything is a disaster. Some people say sorry, even when they've done nothing wrong. They apologize for taking time to speak, for expressing an honest opinion, for not being available at a certain moment. But constant apologizing weakens your presence. It makes you look like you're afraid of rejection, like you're always trying to please everyone. A confident person only apologizes when they're truly at fault. But apologizing for existing, for thinking, for being different, that's a sign of deep insecurity. Now you have two choices. No third option. Either you keep making these mistakes and stay as you are, hesitant, approval-seeking, constantly justifying yourself, avoiding confrontation, and apologizing for your existence as if you're a burden to the world. Living in a cycle of anxiety, fear, and caring too much about others' opinions, while stepping back from your own inner strength. Or you stop. Now, because confidence isn't a gift you're born with. It's something you build. You build it when you refuse to be a follower. When you speak only when you have something valuable to say. When you defend yourself without fear. When you stop apologizing for being alive. When you have the courage to be yourself, fully, even if not everyone likes it. Because if you don't believe in your value first, don't expect others to believe in it for you. If these words stirred something inside you, you're already on the path to change. Don't let this moment pass without taking a step toward growth. Join our community of ambitious people building strong minds and unbeatable character. Subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. We want to hear from you. Together we create change.